Over the past year and a half, as I've lost 30 pounds over 50, I tried a lot of different things. Some of them worked well, other things, not so much. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about what things would I do differently today if I were to start trying to lose that 30 pounds over again, so that you can learn from the things that didn't work for me and the things that in the end were ultimately, I think, the biggest reason for my weight loss success. So if you're new here, my name is Suzanne. I lost 30 pounds over the last year and a half, over 50 years old. As a 5'2" woman, I found that I was struggling to be able to lose any weight at all. I was at 175 pounds. I was trying to cut calories, but then I would ultimately lose and then gain back again. But finally, I started figuring out the changes that I needed to make so that I could start losing weight. Now, before that, I really started to think that I wasn't going to ever be able to lose this weight over 50. I was entering menopause, and so I thought maybe because of that, it was just going to really be a struggle for me to lose weight. So because of that, I kind of started to lose hope and stopped looking for ways that might actually work. But fortunately, I came across a video that actually completely changed my mind on why I was not losing the weight, and ultimately that did help me to get on this journey and lose the 30 pounds. So there were several things that I tried over the past year that I found just really didn't matter or just didn't work. And one of those was taking electrolytes. So I see all the time people who are on keto, they're promoting electrolytes or they're taking electrolytes and they say that it helped make them feel better. I do take some electrolytes, but I don't think it made a huge impact on my weight loss. Now, why do I take them if I don't really think they work? Well, it's not that I don't think they work or do anything. It's more like I don't know if they do or they don't. So since I'm on keto and I'm not taking in any carbs, I do kind of wonder if I need to replenish my sodium and my magnesium. Sometimes I've had some bowel issues where it's just been harder to go. And so I guess I've been doing it more as like an insurance. I probably don't even really need to do it. So I don't recommend that you do it unless it's something that you feel like you should do. But if you are curious what I use Trace Element Drops. I'll put it on the screen here. And again, not really sure if it's doing much for me. I for sure don't think it had anything to do with weight loss. Now, the second thing that I tried when I was starting to plateau was I had seen a lot of videos on egg fasting. I tried to do an egg fast one time when I was having a couple of weeks where I was just not really losing anymore. And to be honest, I ended up gaining weight. So egg fast absolutely did not work for me at all. Intermittent fasting. So I actually tried intermittent fasting before I tried what I'm doing now. And what I found with intermittent fasting, for me anyway, is that it almost gave me permission to eat too much during the hours that I was actually in my eating window. So if I would try to shorten my window to 11 to 7 at night, basically I'd still eat the same amount of calories. I would just not eat between the hours of 7 at night and 11 in the morning. So ultimately, I didn't lose any weight that way. And I did do a video where I go into that in a little more detail, so you can search up intermittent fasting on my channel, why it didn't work for me, if you're interested in hearing about my experience. Another thing that did not work for me, even when I was plateauing, was increasing calories. So there's a lot of people on YouTube who are promoting eating more calories if you find that you're on a plateau for an extended period of time. I'm not going to say it doesn't work for them. I'm just going to say it didn't work for me. Every time I would try to increase calories, without fail, every time I would gain weight. And then I would ultimately go back to trying to figure out where to lower my calories so that I could start losing again. And then the last thing that I did, which I think helped me in the beginning to figure out if I was in fat burning mode or ketosis, but I don't think it helped me at all much in losing weight, was using keto strips to figure out if I was in ketosis. So it was nice to know in the beginning when I was in ketosis, because then I knew I was taking in the right amount of carbs, or I should say a low enough amount of carbs to be on keto. But probably after about 6 months, I stopped doing that, and I haven't done that probably in about a year now, and I've still been losing weight steadily. So not necessary for weight loss, but if you do want to find out if you're actually in ketosis and lowering your carbs enough in the beginning, it might help that way. All right, so now onto the things that I definitely think did work, because there's about 5 or 6 habits that I track on my phone every single day. So I'm a big believer in building habits. And one of the things I've been focusing on is figuring out which habits really are going to make the most impact when it comes to me continuing to lose weight. I'm right around 145. I did lose about another pound. I'm on my way to losing another pound. So I'm almost down to 143. But these are the main things that I track every single day that have helped me continue to lose weight as I'm getting closer to my goal. Because I found as I'm getting closer to my goal, it's getting harder in the sense of it's taking longer for me to actually see weight loss. I used to lose about 1 to 2 pounds a week. I'm now down to losing about a half a pound to a pound a week, and that is with me consistently following my plan. So here are the main things that I focus on, that I check off on my checklist every single day, and I try not to break the chain of those habits by having a day where I go off track. First one, hands down, that has helped me lose the 30 pounds is I typically only eat 20 grams total carbs or less. I don't do net carbs because after listening to Dr. Eric Westman, he suggested that you're going to do the best if you count total carbs, because when you count net carbs, there's a lot of keto foods out there where they will intentionally add in a lot of extra fiber to try to subtract out the carbs. You don't really know how many carbs you're getting. And so I just don't trust their nutrition label. And so I figure if I keep to 20 grams of total carbs on the package, then I'm going to be pretty safe with that. The second thing that I do, which I think is just as important as the 20 grams of total carbs, is I keep my calories at 1,300 or less. Well, how did I get to that number? I used a BMR calculator that I actually learned about from Allie with the channel Allie McWowie, and I will put the link down below to that BMR calculator. It is the best calculator that I found. It's very simple to use and to put your information in. It even gives you a range of calories that you should be eating depending on how much weight you want to lose per week. And I came up with somewhere between 1,100 and 1,300 calories per day tends to be where I still see weight loss, but I'm eating enough to where I never get super hungry. I can wait until I get hungry, and then I can eat a meal then, and that usually falls within that 1,100 to 1,300 calorie range. So it does fluctuate day to day, and I don't question that. I just give myself the flexibility to eat up to 1,300 calories a day, and that has definitely seemed to work for me. If I go over 1,300 calories a day, I'll notice I'll either plateau or I will gain weight. Now remember, I'm 5'2", so I had to come up with that number by putting my own stats into the BMR calculator. Like I had to put in my height, my weight, pretty much my height and my weight, I believe. And then I was female, I think. And activity level, I would just put no activity. So I think it's always best to just estimate that you're not getting any activity, because then it's going to give you a nice, good, solid baseline. And then I used that, and I found that I've been fine with that range that it's given me. It'll also ask you how much weight you want to lose. So if you want to lose like a pound a week, then you can put in like a 10% or a 20% deficit, and it'll tell you exactly how many calories it has calculated for you to lose that weight. It'll also tell you how hard it will be for you to lose that weight depending on what that percentage of the deficit is. Now, the fourth thing that I do in combination with those first three is I do check hunger and fullness at every meal. This is a habit I just started with in the last week or two. I did a video recently that people really seemed to like, and it was me talking about how I use hunger and fullness to lose weight. But basically the premise is, as I'm sitting there throughout the day and I might get emotional eating pop-up thoughts, like I'm working at my computer and all of a sudden I think I want to eat something. Probably I felt some kind of stress right before that. And so that's how I used to cope with stress, was I would feel like I wanted to eat something to take off the edge. So now what I do is when I feel that, I have a pad of paper on my desk and I will feel inside my stomach, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I will rate how hungry I really am. And usually I'm at about a 5 or 6, which is where I should be right after I eat a meal. So I am definitely not hungry, but I have a lot of head hunger. And so that's something I've really been working on, and that's been helping me lose these last couple of pounds a little bit more quickly. But if you want to hear a little bit more about that, then I will definitely put that video down below in the description. You can check that out as well. So one of the things that I started implementing about a year ago, which was 6 months in, is I went from taking a daily 30-minute walk to a 45-minute walk. And it is amazing how much different I feel that last 15 minutes of the walk. I can actually feel myself shifting into fat burning mode. So if I take a leisurely 30-minute walk, which all my walks are pretty leisurely, I don't push myself too hard. I figure as long as I'm doing the exercise, I'm getting the benefit. But those first 30 minutes, I notice I don't even really feel like I'm getting that hot, or I'm not starting to sweat at all. But those last 15 minutes on the 45-minute walk, I can definitely feel that something has changed in my body. I start to feel like I'm getting a little warmer. So I know my body is really starting to go into more fat burning mode. And just adding that extra 15 minutes to the 30-minute walk, I think really has just given me an extra calorie burn that's helping me to continue losing weight in combination with the other things that I'm doing. I try to do those walks 4 times a week. And then I'll take a couple of 30-minute walks at a very comfortable pace. I really like to enjoy my walks. I think exercise should be something that you enjoy. I used to run until my knees started going out, and then I realized at that point, it was around 45, I'm never going to run again because I just realized that it was taking too much toll on my body. So now I just walk, and that's good enough. Now, one of the things that I do to keep myself accountable, and I think has helped me in losing this 30 pounds, is I track my food every day in an app called the Carb Manager. So it's nice because I only eat about 5 or 6 different foods every single day. I have a very simple eating plan. Pretty much I eat eggs, cheese, sausage, a half of a hamburger patty, and a peanut butter cup for dessert. I might have a couple of those things at 2 different meals for the day. Like say I'll have eggs for breakfast and dinner, but those are just kind of the foods I like under the keto plan, under the 20 grams of total carbs. It works for me, and I pretty much eat the same thing every day. Sometimes I will go out to eat at a fast food restaurant just to have a little bit of variety, but I make sure that whatever I get is still under that 20 grams of total carbs. So I'm tracking my food every single day, but it's pretty easy to track it in Carb Manager because since I do eat the same foods every single day, it saves all the foods that I enter. And so when I go in every single day, I'm pretty much just adding in the same foods at the different meals every single day. So now it's really easy for me to just track it on a daily basis, but I definitely have to track it every single day because that's what tells me how many calories I'm eating a day. It tells me how many total carbs I'm eating in a day. And the last thing that I focus on is consistency. Consistency of doing all of these things that I just told you about. That is probably the most important thing because as I've been going through this journey, I found that a lot of times when I would have weeks where I would plateau or sometimes even gain weight, it was because I was having too many treat meals. I don't call them cheat meals because I'm not cheating. I'm giving myself permission to eat them, but they are a treat for me. And I always knew when I was having too many of those, which was in the beginning, it was usually like 2 a week. Now it's more like even 1 a week, might be pushing it. I might be able to do 1 every 2 weeks and still have weight loss. But over time, I've really had to take out more and more of those treat meals in order to keep my progress moving forward. So in order to make sure that I'm doing all those things with consistency, I have a notepad on my phone where I have listed each one of those things. And every day that I do those, I check them off with a green check mark. My goal is to never have a red X, which means I did not hit my target for one or multiple things that are on my list. Now, just a couple of other tips that might help you. One, I mentioned fast food options. I love eating out. So if I can't eat out and have the foods that I used to eat with all the carbs in it, I now at least have a list of restaurants that I like to go to and what I can eat at them. Some of them, just for an example, are at Chipotle. I will have their steak and cheese, and that's it. If you're a veggie person and you want some veggies, you can have that too. To be honest, the last couple of times that I had veggies at Chipotle, for some reason, just didn't do well with my stomach, even though my family was fine on it. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the food, but I don't know if just the type of vegetables I was getting just didn't sit well with me, but I had serious gastrointestinal issues with it. But now I've just cut those out and I have the steak and the cheese and I've had no issues. Another fast food option that I have, I like the gyros at Arby's. I just take the pita bread out. I'll enjoy a burger at just about anywhere. I just take the bun off. One of my favorites is Shake Shack. Oh, I do love a good Shake Shack burger. But hamburgers is one of my favorite foods, and luckily I can eat a hamburger without the bun, and now honestly it tastes exactly the same to me. I don't miss the bun at all. And if I go to a nicer restaurant, I'll just try to find an option where they have like chicken, or I'll have a hamburger there and take the bun off, or I just modify it to where I basically take most of the carbs out of it. Unless it's a treat meal, and then I might add in a few extra. But I try to limit my treat meals, so I don't have those very often. Another tip is get the foods out of your house that are not on your plan. I don't keep any foods in the house at all that aren't foods that I eat. Now, my husband has completely shifted over to this same way of eating with me, and actually now my kids kind of have too. So we don't really keep foods in the house anymore that for the most part aren't keto friendly. My kids might eat a little bit of higher carb foods like noodles, pasta, things like that, but I'm not really even tempted by those things anymore. We don't keep any kind of sweets really in the house anymore. If we want a sweet, we'll just go out as a family and go get it either at a fast food restaurant or in the grocery store, but it'll be eaten right away and we typically won't bring it into the house, and then that way I never have that temptation sitting around for me to go to the cupboard and grab it and eat it. All right, so that's the list of the main things that I would do if I had to start all over again to lose this 30 pounds. I probably would have lost it a lot faster if I would have been able to hone that list down sooner. But this is why I'm sharing it with you, so that hopefully you can lose weight a little bit faster with these tips. Let me know down in the comments how you're doing on your weight loss journey. And let me know too if you have a list of things that you do that you find just work for you and have helped you lose all of your weight. All right, can't wait to see you down there.